Continuation of Chapter 1. Rana. Despite that playful munching and ribbing, his husky voice was mellowed by a tinge of regret, and I instantly knew his arrival was being postponed by a couple of days. Yet, he managed to reduce me to a breathless, chuckling mess by the end of our chat. However blew my mood, around him, it was so easy to revert to the sunny yellow Rana he'd met at that bus stop 18 months ago. Besides, despite his stoic front that shielded me from every upheaval, I knew these work trips were grueling with rigid demands and deadlines. Never reward his long days with whiny nagging, my voice of reason reminded me. My heart? Now that was another story. My heart was attuned to beating in rhythm with his. It sank to a dull murmur whenever he wasn't around, missing the soothing sound of his beats in bed as I hugged his empty pillow. Messages, calls, pictures, and voice clips were mere rafts that kept me sailing, as did my work. There was nothing like steady ground, nothing like tangibly coiling myself within the strong safety of his arms. I blame you for this. Wiping the mist from my eyes on my sleeve, I darted his picture a glare that would have had him cracking a mystical grin if he were here. Yes, it's all your fault. After all, I'd never heard myself laugh so unladylike until I stumbled upon his treasure trove of jokes. I never knew my shoulders got so stiff from sitting in front of a computer, at work, all day, until he began undoing the deep knots in them with his skilled massages. Why, even his tea tasted better than mine, as if he poured his essence into each cup he brewed for me. And I never knew a mere glimpse from a pair of silvery eyes could be so intense that it'd stir such passion in me. I'd never been so consumed by anyone, anything, until Halim Adair. A sudden knock at the door startled me, a teacup almost shattering against the sink as my hands fumbled. A second later, I laughed at my foolishness. Rana, you've got to buy yourself a box of calming tea at your next trip to the market. Must be a neighbor dropped by to borrow something. I did a quick mental checklist of how many eggs I had in the fridge in case that was why they were here. Coming, just a minute. The knock repeated insistently, however, and by the time I'd washed the soap off my hands, I worried the door would come off its hinges. Who could it be? Trouble in one of the apartments? Who is it? I had to raise my soft voice over the tumult. My question was acknowledged by another thump, a less patient one, coming from a man's unforgivingly hard knuckles. That growl of annoyance that had gone off in my head a second ago retreated into a worried purr. Woo. Who is it? Open the door. A voice came bursting in through the gaps, its gravelly timbre matching the harshness of the knock. My palms paled as they reached for the latch but paused midair with a jerk as two more knocks rattled the door from the other side, this time from a fist. Should I call Baba? Halim? A friend? My pulse stilled, the quiet warning still that came before a storm. Open the door now or we'll have to break it.